The beast that terrorized a kingdom. In the summer of 1764, in a remote mountainous region of southern France called the Gévaudan, a 14-year-old girl named Jeanne Boulet was watching her family's cattle graze in a field when something came out of the tree line. Witnesses would later describe it as an animal unlike anything anyone in the region had ever seen, larger than a wolf, with reddish fur, a broad chest, a long tail like a lion's, and a head disproportionately large for its body. It attacked her within moments. She was the first confirmed death. She would not be the last. Over the next 3 years, this creature, or creatures, would kill somewhere between 60 and 100 people, mostly women and children tending livestock in remote fields, and it would become one of the most documented, most feared, and most mysterious predator hunts in European history. What made the attack so terrifying wasn't just the death toll, it was the pattern. Survivors and witnesses across dozens of separate incidents describe strikingly similar features: a creature the size of a calf or a small donkey, with unusually powerful jaws, a stiff bristled mane running down its back, and a strange fearlessness around humans that no known wolf displayed. Wolves in that era, as dangerous as they could be, generally avoided direct confrontation with adult humans, and rarely, if ever, targeted people with the kind of deliberate, repeated aggression being reported. This creature seemed to hunt with purpose. It would ambush victims in broad daylight, ignore attempts to scare it off with weapons or crowds, and in several accounts, it appeared to select victims by going straight for the throat and severing the head from the body, a level of precision that unsettled even experienced hunters of the time. An empty pasture at dusk lingers, an ominous aftermath. As the death toll climbed through 1764 and into 1765, panic spread far beyond the Gevaudan itself. Newspapers across France began reporting on the killings, and the story eventually reached the court of King Louis XV in Versailles. The king, under pressure to respond to what had become a national embarrassment as much as a regional tragedy, dispatched professional wolf hunters to the region, and later sent his own royal gunbearer along with an experienced team to track and kill the creature once and for all. A close-up map shows pins tracing the spread. A grand Baroque palace stands at dusk, clouds drifting slowly. The early hunting parties failed. Wolves were killed by the dozens in massive organized hunts involving hundreds of local men, but the attacks continued. Whatever was doing the killing did not match the wolves being caught. In September of 1765, a hunter named Jean Chastel finally shot and killed a large, unusually built wolf-like animal, and for a time the attacks in the immediate area stopped, leading many to believe the beast had finally been defeated. But attacks resumed months later in nearby areas, and a final killing attributed to the Beast of Gévaudan wasn't recorded until 1767, nearly 3 years after Jeanne Boulet's death, when a hunter named Jean Chastel, the same man credited with the earlier kill, according to some accounts, or a local farmer in others, depending on which historical record you trust, killed what is generally regarded as the true beast, ending the killings for good. Parish records list the dead in fading ink and crosses. Misty Gevaudan mountains brood over dark forests at dusk. Even after its death, the mystery didn't end. Historical records disagree on basic facts, including exactly how many people died, whether one animal or multiple animals were responsible, and what species the creature actually was. Several theories have circulated for over 2 centuries. The most widely accepted explanation among modern historians is that the beast was likely an unusually large wolf, or possibly a wolf-dog hybrid, whose size and aggression were exaggerated by a terrified population living through a period of famine, poverty, and religious tension, where any tragedy could quickly take on supernatural or symbolic meaning. Some historians have pointed to the political climate of the era, a rural population growing distrustful of the monarchy in a period leading up to unrest that would eventually culminate in the French Revolution, and suggested that some killings may have had human causes entirely, a serial killer, or killers operating under cover of blaming an animal, though this theory remains speculative and unproven. Other theories have been far stranger. Some contemporaries speculated the creature was a hyena, escaped or imported from Africa as an exotic pet by a wealthy landowner, which would explain its unusual gait, coloring, and behavior compared to native wolves. This theory gained some traction because hyenas were occasionally kept as exotic curiosities by European aristocrats during this period, and their skeletal structure, with a sloped back and disproportionately large head, does match several eyewitness descriptions more closely than a wolf's would. Still others, particularly in the more religious rural communities at the time, believed the beast was a punishment sent by God, or a werewolf, or a demonic creature entirely beyond the natural world. A belief that only intensified as professional hunters repeatedly failed to stop the killings using conventional methods. A mist-shrouded tree line recedes, fields empty and ominous. Close-up pans reveal death records and royal letters with wax seals. What we do know for certain is preserved in an unusually rich historical record. Unlike most folklore or cryptid stories that rely on secondhand legend, the Beast of Gévaudan attacks were documented in real time by government officials, church records, and contemporary newspapers, making it one of the best recorded mass predator events in history. Death certificates from local parishes during this period frequently list the cause of death explicitly as killed by the beast, and several surviving letters from the royal court detail the mounting pressure and frustration as hunting party after hunting party failed to end the crisis. To this day, no one has definitively proven what the Beast of Gévaudan actually was. The taxidermied remains that were reportedly sent to the royal court after Chastel's final kill have been lost to history, meaning modern science has never been able to test DNA or examine bones to settle the debate once and for all. What's left is a strange and unsettling gap in the historical record. One of the only times in modern European history that a documented 3-year killing spree, witnessed by hundreds of people and investigated by the king's own hunters, ended without anyone truly knowing what they were dealing with. Whether it was a wolf, a hyena, a hybrid, or something else entirely, the people who lived through it were certain of one thing. For 3 years, something walked out of the forests of the Gevaudan that did not behave like any predator they had ever known, and by the time it was gone, it had already become a legend that outlived every person who claimed to have seen it. If stories like this, real events history still can't fully explain, are the kind of content you want more of, subscribe, because there are dozens more just like it waiting to be told. A wide, moody dusk landscape holds for the end screen.